So, welcome to our brand new lecture series called Daily MCQ Practice. In this lecture series, we cover MCQs, and those MCQs are sourced from that day's newspaper or that day's current affairs. Now, I am repeating it again and again, but I don't mind that at all because I want to put that message across. Please make this lecture series a part of your daily routine. You might not realize it right now, but if you just practice 4 to 5 MCQs daily with me through this lecture series from that day's newspaper, well, by the end of 1 year, you'll be covering 1200 MCQs from current affairs. And you can ask any successful UPSC aspirant, 1200 MCQ practice from current affairs is more than sufficient for clearing your prelims exam. All right. Current affairs is a very dominant portion of your UPSC prelims syllabus, but you can achieve all of that. You can cover the entire current affairs. You can cover the entire syllabus for UPSC prelims as far as current affairs are concerned if you just give me 10 minutes of your day. This lecture series won't require more than 10 minutes of your day, but if you just spend this 10 minutes daily and for 1 year, well, cumulatively, you'll cover 1200 MCQs. It might seem a little, it might seem a very small target, covering just 4 to 5 MCQs, but over the course of 1 year, this would amount to 1200 MCQs. So these little habits, if you inculcate these little habits as a part of your daily routine, well, that would serve you a long way. All right. So without further ado, let's start with question number 1. Daily MCQ practice. The newspaper for today was the newspaper of 22nd June 2024. Okay. So here are the questions. Question number 1. Consider the following statements regarding State of Global Air Pollution Report 2024. It is compiled by Health Effects Institute and Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluations. Okay. As per the report, air pollution has become the second biggest global risk factor for deaths. Which of the above statements are correct? Now, in today's newspaper, a report was published, and not in today's newspaper, a report was published in the last week, but today's newspaper featured an article from this report. Now, State of Global Air Pollution Report 2024 was released. Now, who releases State of Global Air Pollution Report? Well, it is released by a US-based institute called Health Effects Institute and Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluations. All right, these two institutes actually released this report, but this year in 2024, they have also partnered with UNICEF, which is a United Nations body. All right, so first statement is absolutely correct. Now let's move on to the second statement. As per the report, air pollution has become the second biggest global risk factor for deaths. You know, in this report, there were certain key findings. Finding number 1 was that air pollution has become the second biggest killer, second biggest reason for deaths globally. Okay, so it has become the second biggest reason for mortality. This was in this report, so statement number 2 is correct. But I will share some extra information also with you. All right, this is important for your preparation. It also said, the report also said that air pollution has become the second biggest killer for kids' death, children's death. And which type of children, which age bracket? Well, under 5. So under 5 child mortality. Air pollution has become the second biggest reason for under 5 child mortality as well. There was this another finding of this report, and that was that around 2.1 million deaths in India can be traced back to air pollution. All right. So both these statements are correct, and the answer would be C. All right. Let's move on to question number 2. Which of the following statements regarding European Union are not correct? Now, why European Union was in the news? Because recently an article came in today's newspaper itself. An article came that gave us the information that Ukraine, and there is this another country called Moldova, which is the neighboring country of Ukraine. Both have requested to join the European Union, and their accession to European Union has been admitted, and now negotiations will start as to how Ukraine and Moldova would become members of European Union. So the accession negotiations of Ukraine and Moldova for the European Union membership has started. That's why European Union was in the news. Now, let's take a look at the few statements. It was officially created by Treaty of Rome, which entered into force on 1st November 1993. Okay, it is a 27-member bloc which uses a single currency called euro. Okay, European Commission is the executive arm of the bloc which carries out routine tasks. Now select the correct option from below. Now see, European Union definitely was created on 1st November 1993, but it was not the Treaty of Rome that created European Union. It was Maastricht Treaty. Here are the spellings. It was Maastricht Treaty that came into force on 1st November 1993 and that created European Union. So first statement is false. It is a 27-member bloc, that is absolutely correct, which uses a single currency called euro. Now, here is the problem. It definitely is a 27-member bloc. There are no doubts about that. But out of those 27 countries, only 19 countries use euro as their official currency. 8 countries use their national currencies, which includes the likes of Sweden and other countries. All right. So not all countries are using euro. So this statement is also false. European Commission is the executive arm of the bloc which carries out routine tasks. Well, that is absolutely correct. Well, this entire European Union contains European Council, which is the agenda setting body. All right. It has European Parliament, which is the legislative body. All right, though not many legislative powers are with European Parliament. And European Commission, it is the executive body. As the executive body, it carries out routine tasks. That is absolutely correct. But it also proposes legislations to member countries so that they could enact those legislations in their national parliament. All right. So European Commission has a lot of functions. All right, but mainly it is an executive body of European Union. So third statement is correct. Now, what was asked in the question? Which of the following statements regarding European Union are not correct? So first and second statement are not correct. Please make sure that you read the question carefully. It is very important. Sometimes students make this mistake of not reading this word not or incorrect. This mistake of correct, incorrect actually is very lethal during the exams. So make sure that you read the questions carefully. Anyway, the answer for this question would be A. Okay, question number 3. Consider the following regarding Purchasing Managers Index. It is compiled and published on a monthly basis by National Statistical Office. Okay, it is a weighted average of 5 indices: new orders, output, employment, suppliers, delivery, and inventory. It is calculated only for the manufacturing sector. Okay, now look. Purchasing Managers Index. Why was Purchasing Managers Index in news? Because Purchasing Managers Index data for the month of June was recently released and it found that India's Purchasing Managers Index increased to 60.9, which is good news. Now, what is Purchasing Managers Index? Purchasing Managers Index is a survey-based index. Survey-based monthly index. Now, what do we mean by survey? Well, there is a team of experts and they go around the country asking questions from various businessmen, asking them about various things, okay? And from their answers, they get an idea about the economic situation, and and that idea gives them, or all these experts actually extrapolate that idea to a score, okay? So basically, they ask a few questions. On the basis of that, they get a little idea about the economic situation. On the basis of that idea, they give a particular score. That score is between 0 to 100. Okay. If score is greater than 50, that means industrial activity is expanding. If it is less than 50, that means industrial activity is contracting. Bad news. All right. Now, PMI for the month of June was 60.9. That means industrial activity is expanding. That is good news. Okay. Now, basically, who calculates PMI? Always remember this fact. PMI is not calculated by any government agency of India. It is calculated by an international private agency called IHS Markit. Yes, it's not that I don't know the spellings of market. It's actually spelled like this only. MARKIT. Okay. So IHS Markit, which is a division or a subsidiary of S&P, an international company. So S&P's IHS Markit compiles PMI for more than 40 countries, 40 economies, which includes India. Okay, and it is calculated on a monthly basis, and it is a survey-based measure. All right. Now, what sort of questions are asked? Well, simple questions are asked from in this survey from various businessmen. And what type of data is extracted out of those questions? Well, basically, the data that is extracted out of these questions relates to or pertains to 5 variables. What are those 5 variables? How many new orders are these businessmen getting? What is their output? What is their employment situation? What type of supplier delivery they are receiving from their suppliers, basically supply of raw materials, and what is their stock situation, how much stock they have. All right. So yes, this Purchasing Managers Index is a weighted average of 5 indices because these questions actually give you data regarding these 5 variables. Okay, so first statement is false, second statement is correct. Okay, now one more important thing. Purchasing managers index is calculated for two sectors. Purchasing managers index is calculated for manufacturing sector. It is calculated for services sector. And it is calculated for manufacturing and services combined, which is known as the composite index. So there is manufacturing PMI, there is services PMI, and there is composite PMI, which combines both manufacturing and services. So it is calculated only for manufacturing sector. This statement is false. Only one statement is correct, and the answer to this question would be A. All right. And last question, consider the following statements regarding Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now, why Prevention of Money Laundering Act was in news? Because of Arvind Kejriwal's arrest and the rejection and his rejection of or the rejection of his bail application, right? Courts are rejecting his bail application, and that is why, and he's arrested as per Prevention of Money Laundering Act. That's why Prevention of Money Laundering Act is in news. All right. Okay. Let's hear a few statements about PMLA. Central Bureau of Investigation is entrusted with investigating offences under PMLA. Okay. Section 45 of PMLA prohibits bail for offences under this law, except under a few exceptions. Okay. For granting bail under PMLA, the court is required to apply the twin test. All right. So, how many of the above statements are correct? Now, you see, for arresting people who violate Prevention of Money Laundering Act, there is one particular agency that is entrusted with this task, and that is Enforcement Directorate, popularly known as ED. So ED is empowered to investigate offences under PMLA and FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act. All right. So anyone who is violating these two laws or one of these two laws, well, ED would come after you. Okay. Now, Arvind Kejriwal was arrested because, as per the allegations, he violated Prevention of Money Laundering Act. It's not the CBI, it's the ED which is responsible for investigating offences under PMLA and FEMA. All right. So first statement is false. Now, under Prevention of Money Laundering Act, by the way, Prevention of Money Laundering Act came in 2002. Okay. So there is this section under PMLA which is called Section 45. This section states that no court shall grant any bail to an accused in this law, under this law. Okay, so if anyone is an accused under this law, the court shall not grant any bail to them except in few circumstances. So there are a few exceptions under which bail shall be granted, but the norm is that bail shall not be granted. Now, Arvind Kejriwal is pleading that those exceptional circumstances do exist, and my bail application comes under those exceptions only. All right, but Section 45 says that as a norm, bail shall not be granted, but under a few circumstances, bail can be granted by the trial court or high court or Supreme Court. All right. So this statement is correct. Now, how would the court decide that whether these exceptional circumstances exist or they do not exist, whether bail should be granted as per Section 45 or shouldn't be? So if a bail application is in front of the court for an offence under PMLA, well, the norm is that they won't grant any bail. But the accused might argue that my bail application comes under those exceptions. So court would apply a twin test. Now, what is that twin test? The test number one under this twin test is that if there are reasonable grounds that the accused is innocent. So if there are reasonable grounds that for innocence, then, and second test is that court should make sure that when the accused will be released on bail, court should ensure that the accused will not commit any offense during his bail. So no offense under bail. All right. So if the court is absolutely sure that there are reasonable grounds for this person's innocence and he won't commit any crime when he's out on bail, well, then that accused shall pass the twin test and the court will grant that bail. Okay. Now, what was the controversy? So, third statement is also correct. What's the controversy? Well, recently Arvind Kejriwal was granted bail by a trial court. All right. And naturally, ED opposed that grant of bail. Okay. So, ED appealed against that decision of trial court in the Delhi High Court. And Enforcement Directorate actually pleaded that the trial court did not apply the twin test while granting bail to Arvind Kejriwal. Hence, their grant of bail is null and void. All right. Now, Delhi High Court accepted this demand from Enforcement Directorate and stayed the grant of bail by trial court. So Arvind Kejriwal is still inside. All right, there was a bit of good news for him for a very short moment, but again, ED is still after him. They went to the High Court to get that decision of trial court cancelled. Okay. Anyway, only two statements are correct. Answer would be B. All right. So yeah, that's about it. We have covered all 4 questions. Like I've said before, I'll be only covering 4 to 5 MCQs from that day's newspaper. Now, if you want to have notes for this particular lecture, right? You want these questions saved with you along with explanations. Well, you can follow our Instagram channel. On that channel, I regularly post these MCQs with the date. All right, like you can see MCQ quiz 22nd June, and in that post I share the question MCQ along with its explanation. All right, so do check out our Instagram channel. You can also follow our Telegram channel. On that too we post these MCQs regularly. So if you want to save these MCQs for future reference, well, you can follow these 2 channels. All right, by the way, my sincere advice would be, again, follow this lecture series regularly on a daily basis. Make it a part of your daily routine, because this will help you out in the long run. Okay, on that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time with the MCQs from 23rd June's newspaper. Thank you.